immunity. Innate and adaptive or acquired immunity. Okay? So the innate, what does the word innate mean?
You're born with it.
It's in you. You're born with it, right? Innate things you're born with. Okay? Innate immunity can be broken down into two categories: barrier defenses and internal defenses. Barriers are things on the outside, so that's your skin, that's your mucus. Okay? Your skin blocks things from coming in. Where do you find mucus in your body? Nose. Where else? Stomach. Mouth. Throat. Okay? Thursday. Where else do you find mucus?
Your lungs?
Your lungs. In your reproductive parts, there's mucus there. Okay? What do you know about the pH of mucus? It's acidic. What does that do to the virus or the bacteria? It helps to kill it. Okay? Because of that acidity. Okay? Secretions. What are things you secrete?
Sweat.
Sweat. What else do you secrete?
Love.
Hopefully it's not acidic or baric. Okay? Urine, right? Tears. Saliva. Oil. All of those things you secrete, and they are all usually acidic where organisms can't survive. So all of those are part of basic barrier defenses. Now when you go inside internal defenses, there's a couple of different things there: phagocytic cells, natural killer cells, antimicrobial proteins, and inflammatory responses. And we'll talk about those today. We'll save the adaptive immunity more for later. Okay? Innate immunity, all organisms have it. Okay? Adaptive immunity is going to be invertebrates only. Vertebrates only. And all the immune system is trying to defeat a pathogen. And a pathogen is anything that can cause a disease. Be that a bacteria, a virus, a fungus, a parasite, any of those things are pathogens. Questions? And the immune system was definitely the hardest class I took in college. Or it's called immunology is the class.
Study session I was in.
She did it twice. Did anybody else go twice?
She did it. She didn't know the order, and
Yeah.
she didn't look at it, so she did it every other one.
She did every other.
Yeah.
What an idiot. She flip-flop the third and the
Because
first.
I was like, did she just teach this 4 times in a row?
I thought she taught it 4 times in a row because I went to it the second time and then I went to it the 4th time.
Well, that would have been every other.
Yeah, because the schedule said that it would be different.
Yeah, right. She didn't follow the schedule. Okay. I really wanted to raise my hand and say, have you heard this?
You should have. I should have.
All right. So the first step to fighting an infection is recognizing something that's foreign. Okay, that's called molecular recognition. Recognizing something that's foreign and having something bind to that. Okay, the binding action just kind of puts a red flag on it, so your body knows what to do with it thereafter. Okay, molecular recognition and binding puts a red flag on the foreign object. All right, let's talk about kind of a school-like scenario here. When you walk through the halls, most people you recognize, or even if you don't know who they are, you can sense that they belong here, right? How would you recognize a stranger or somebody that was out of place or didn't belong or whatever in
Kid
the
that wears a
school?
trench coat.
Huh?
Kid that wears that trench coat.
Okay, maybe somebody wears a trench coat. They have funny dress. Huh?
I heard he's mean.
They look different or act
he's mean.
different. Okay?
What?
They're not wearing a backpack. They don't look like a student.
Everyone knows men that wear trench coats are obviously ready
They're
to
naked. Well, hopefully we don't have any of those running through school. I don't think it'd take very long to deal with them. But the dress, okay? What if you saw somebody in a suit and tie in the hall? They're probably not an everyday person here, right? Nobody wears a suits and ties, but they're not normal people in our school, though, right?
What if they walking around in a full tie-dye suit?
A full tie-dye suit?
Wait, that's just that.
Okay. So we do have a few outliers, but again,
Wait like a few seconds before I say anything else.
that is similar to innate immunity. You have a few set of receptors, a few things that would tell you that somebody doesn't belong, right? Their dress, the way they act, overall, there's a few things that would indicate to you that something doesn't belong. And that's kind of what the innate immunity does. It doesn't get really specific. It's just this, okay, this doesn't belong. This is not part of me. And it flags it as such. Now, what would the acquired or adaptive immunity do that's different than that?
Accept those individuals.
No?
They again.
So in the case of a person in our school, how would you try to deal with them if they didn't belong? What would you do?
I push them.
You'd invite them to sit at lunch with you, and then you'd regret it every day of your life.
Okay, or maybe if there was
Isn't that how you set it
somebody
on
like
table?
that looked lost and they were in like teacher clothes, what would you do?
You direct them.
Yeah, do you need any assistance? You'd talk to them, right? You'd give a more specific discussion if they looked more like a student or a teacher, right? And that's more like the adaptive or acquired immunity, okay? It gets more specific based on what you perceive from that person or from that invader in this case, okay? So a couple different internal defenses. Lysozyme. What's another word that you know that has an ending zyme?
Enzyme.
Enzyme, okay? So this is an enzyme. What's another word that you know that has the prefix lyso?
Lysosome.
Lysosome. What does it do?
Gets rid of bad
It
stuff.
eats stuff, gets rid of bad stuff. So that's kind of what the lysosome does. It's an enzyme that breaks down bacterial cell walls. How do you think that it knows that that is foreign?
Those are receptors.
Coded. Not coded.
Think about the structure of a bacteria versus the structure of one of your own cells.
They know what it is.
Huh?
They know what it is.
More, very specific. Give me something specific.
Different
What's
structure.
different? How?
I don't know.
It's smaller.
Never seen one.
Oh, they are smaller.
The
They're what?
texture, the shape.
Different color.
Yeah.
Do you have a cell wall?
Yeah. No. Yes. No. No.
It was a membrane.
Okay. So if you see something that has a cell wall, what is your body going to know about that? It doesn't belong. It's foreign. Okay. What it specifically detects is a sugar called chitin in the cell wall. It's a polysaccharide called chitin in the cell wall that it detects, and the lysosome helps to break that down. So, phagocyte, yeah,
How much, how many times does this happen?
lots,
4.
lots and lots and lots.
Like, how much a day?
I mean, your body,
Is there that much?
is there is a lot of stuff that gets into your body, yeah, that it takes care of pretty quickly. Yeah. I mean, there's also a lot that's blocked by nose hairs and mucus and stuff like that. There is quite a bit that does get in, yeah. Okay. But yeah, I would say it happens several times a day. Okay, so phagocytosis, remember, is cell eating. So the pathogen comes in and it's engulfed. What is this called when it is engulfed? Good, Diana. Endocytosis. It takes it in, it forms a little vesicle or a vacuole. That vesicle and vacuole fuses with the lysosome. The lysosome then secretes its particles, its digestive enzymes, into that vacuole and breaks down the pathogen, breaks down the pathogen and releases it from the cell. What's that release called? Exocytosis. Okay. Exocytosis. So when a pathogen does enter, it is broken down by lysosomes, by phagocytic cells. How does a phagocytic cell know what to attack?
It recognizes.
Okay, you're on the right track, but does the phagocytic cell already recognize it, or is it something else that's already flagged it?
I reckon.
Something else.
Something else has already flagged it, and then the phagocytic cell just sees the flag that says, hey, destroy this, okay? So something else has to already flag it before the phagocytic cell is going to attack it. Alright, antimicrobial peptides. So getting rid of microbes or getting rid of small particles. What is a peptide?
Polypeptide.
Polypeptide, what does that indicate? It's a protein which is made up of amino acids. So antimicrobial peptides are short chains of amino acids that circulate through the body, killing fungi or bacteria by breaking down the cell wall. How does a cell function without a cell wall?
But
It
it lets everything
doesn't,
out.
because its internal environment is not separate from the outternal environment. And so it breaks down that cell wall or cell membrane to destroy the invader.
So there's like dead cell guts floating all over the place?
So then a lysosome would go and digest them, yes. Okay.
Hey, what does it do with all this stuff?
Well, it breaks it down into little protein pieces that
Can
are
it be
released
introduced?
out of the cell during cytosis.
Can it be energy?
What if it breaks bonds, it'll release some energy? Not a whole lot, probably, though. Probably not a whole lot more than it's needed to power the lysosome.
So it's self-sufficient?
I'll post some of those. Okay.
You get protein.
Yeah. And there, yeah, I have the power, the most updated version on it. Alright, toll-like receptors. Toll-like receptors are another one of those little flags, okay? Flags that bind onto things that are foreign, things that are characteristic of pathogens. There are certain lipids, there are certain sugars or proteins that are found on the cell membrane or found on the outside of most pathogens that toll-like receptors identify as foreign. Okay? One example is a protein called flagellin. TLR5, toll-like receptor number 5, binds to cells that have flagellin proteins on them. What does flagellin sound like? Flagella. Where are flagella found? What kind of cells have flagella? Prokaryote cells or bacterial cells, right? Usually bacterial cells, those are invaders. We don't want those. And so anything that, there's specific ones that they would recognize, but TLR5 binds to things that have flagellin on them, and they target them for phagocytosis. They target them for destruction.
So that's what tells the phago.
So yes, this is the flag that indicates for the phagocyte to come over and break it down. This is one of the types of flags. Okay? And so then again, they're taken in by endocytosis. The phagocytic cell will form a vesicle with it, break it down, and so on and so forth.
Do they get destroyed with it? When it like consumes its supply?
The receptor, no. Yeah, the receptor, no. Also, they recognize things that have double-stranded DNA or double-stranded RNA. Okay, TLR3 recognizes double-stranded RNA. What contains double-stranded RNA? Bad things.
Viruses.
Many viruses contain double-stranded RNA, and so they would target those viruses for breakdown. Now, what you've got here, you may want to do instead, you got this page when you came in. On the back, it's got some of the major cell types. Instead of writing these in your notes, you might want to summarize in a small way some of those on that worksheet. This is going to be a handy worksheet in our study of immunology for you to just kind of summarize things. There's like two past chapters we have to go back.
How hard is this? Make it. Everybody feels it's
Nervous system will be good. I like nervous system.
No one does because you like it.
Can you describe macrophages?
So macrophages, they're all phagocytic cells, so they're all just things that eat. So for your things, I would write in organs that and tissues most likely to encounter pathogens. Okay, so for example, macrophages, if you got a splinter in your finger, macrophages would be the first first ones to attack any type of bacteria that came in on the splinter. Okay, or if you got glass in your foot.
Why not dendritic?
Macrophages are found a lot near the skin.
Why wouldn't dendritic get it, the splinter then?
They can too. They can too. Macrophages, they can engulf more bacteria at one time. So that's why they're all phagocytic cells, and they all are just slightly different, but I think that's why immunology is hard. They all kind of do the same thing, but they all have special names. And probably slight differences, but not so much that we need to know about.
But what we need to know about them?
No. I would recognize the name as a phagocytic cell, Eric.
So dendritic cells are just cells
In
that,
the skin and in contact with the environment. They're all phagocytic cells. So maybe out to the right of those top four, you would bracket them and say phagocytic. Anybody go to Keeneland this week?
No, they were at the AP process.
You did? You went to Keeneland?
Did you go turkey hunting?
Did I go turkey hunting?
Yeah.
No. Why would I go turkey hunting?
You said you've been hunting.
I don't know. I don't like turkey.
I don't like hunting. I couldn't bring myself to kill an animal.
I've never deer before.
Yeah, you probably could. I feel like you're really close. Underneath your shell or something.
I killed like a lot of chickens though.
I can't say
And that was
You kill a lot of chickens at once? Did you like,
Well, if you're in a deer
no the dog ate them. I just ate the house.
your dog ate all the chickens?
No, their dog ate all their chickens.
Oh.
I let the dog out and she got the chickens. And when I came back, they were all dead. It was awful. I sat there and sobbed for a while. It was
when you were in the
awful.
last session, Eric, did you?
But I did not kill him.
I wouldn't kill something that looked like it had a soul. Like a fish or a bird, I'd slay it. I'd slay it instantaneously. But like something that like, you know, it like looked at you before you shot it and like I
Are
couldn't
you
do it.
done here?
Huh?
Or you get
Yeah, a dog, I couldn't do it. See, I like cats, but they're very
Alright, NK
selfish.
cells,
love
natural killer
Like-
cells.
They were very
Okay,
selfish.
So
But
again,
it makes it more
phagocytic
interesting than
cells
dogs.
are innate or acquired.
Yeah.
Are phagocytic cells innate or acquired?
Nate.
Innate. Why are they innate? But that's what innate means, but why are they innate? What's the difference in innate and acquired?
They're less specific.
They are not a very specific response. Okay? It doesn't matter what kind of invader it is. They don't do anything for one invader that they wouldn't do for another invader. They work on all kinds. All innate response has to do is target something that's foreign and go after it. Okay? Alright, so NK cells. NK stands for natural killer cells. They look for abnormal surface proteins, particularly those proteins that have been infected, or cells that have been infected by viruses or cells that may be cancerous. And they release chemicals nearby those cells which lead to cell death. Okay? Cell death. Now is that apoptosis?
No, that's so.
That's cell suicide, right? It has to be triggered within to be apoptosis. So this is cell death, but not cell suicide.